Hello, 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 hello. Hi to you. How are you today? Come and sit. Let's talk the day away. Hey, hi. We're welcoming in another episode of the Digital Quill Podcast with your host, Mars Wilson. Hi, I randomly talk about all kinds of subjects from philosophy to theology to personal stories and almost everything in between. It's a vast variety of the human condition in all of its glory. Hello. Now let's get serious. You are presently listening to the newest and weirdest, most myself version of this podcast possible. Yes, you've gotten me in previous episodes. It was me, I promise you that, but it was timid, shy, scared, fearful of everything me. And today we're talking about the 7 deadly sins, because I do think about those a lot as someone who studied theology and philosophy a lot growing up as a child, suffering through pretty severe trauma, trying to understand my purpose and why so many things in the realm of bad happened back then. I wanted to explain the story, but I didn't want to just trauma dump in the first minute. We have time for that. And there's also other episodes of me doing that. Not today. That's not what this is about. Today, it's about the 7 deadly sins and how it's going to sound controversial, but I'm going to need you to stay with me. It's about the 7 deadly sins and how we can essentially have our cake and eat it too. Now, before we actually begin, I have done a lot of reading. So much reading. I haven't done enough reading because there's a lot of reading to be read, but there's a lot of reading I've done in my life. A lot of interesting experience I've been subjected to and have heard from other people because I love listening to other people and their stories. I usually shut the heck up and kind of wait for other people to speak. I like becoming a fly on the wall. It is it's just what I do. But I'm not going to tell you I'm an expert. I'm not licensed as a pastor. I don't know priesthood stuff. I ain't a nun. Any chances of me really being a nun technically would have been kaput because of things that if you've been here, you know. That's probably not true considering, but it's the principle part for me growing up that made me not only want to question going into something like that, but also learning the values of it. And I kind of realized that if you really were to care about the principle of nunhood or whatever it is to be a nun, based on what I learned back then and something I will stick to this day, which by the way is 20 years later, purity is a really big thing. And if you've had your purity taken from you either by force or just in general, I feel like it would almost feel wrong to be a nun because you aren't intact. If that makes sense. I don't want to elaborate any further, but that's just how I feel about the matter. And I know that is not exactly the one size fits all, because religion and spirituality and just most things in general are a spectrum. Which is why I want to bring up the 7 deadly sins. I don't think the 7 deadly sins are as bad as we think they are, or as bad as they could be. And I think the 7 deadly sins are being used against us every single day, whether we realize it or not. What are the 7 deadly sins? Well, I have an image here for you. I did a little bit of research to kind of pinpoint some ideas for this topic today, and I'm going to read these things with you. First, we're going to cover 2 of the easiest ones. We're going to cover lust and food. Now, as someone who has experience with both, a lot of experience, both on the receiving end and on the giving end of the sin itself, I feel like I might have some room to speak. Without getting into too many details and trying to keep this episode a general audience friendly episode, because most of my podcast episodes are technically general audience friendly in a way. I try to keep it where it's like human to human kind of homegrown story stuff. Anyway, not all of my stuff is general audience friendly. I am open about that. There have been issues of stories and posts, and pretty much if it's for you, it's for you, and you already know what it is. If it's not, then it's not, and you don't care, and it doesn't exist to you. Does that make sense? Great. Moving on. Humans, biologically, have the ability to have pleasure. We get pleasure from food, we get pleasure from people, we get pleasure from conversations, all kinds of things. Lust, and according to this graphic and also in simplified terms, is unrestrained sexual craving. Now pay attention to the wording on this chart. Unrestrained sexual craving. We're going to take religion out of it, and we're just going to look at things at the bare bones, like human condition kind of thing, like a psychology level, all right? Psychology and theology. Don't you just love that? I should have wrote more notes to like get my ideas together, but this isn't going to be the first time we talk about the seven deadly sins. As a matter of fact, this might be a common and reoccurring theme in future episodes very soon. But unrestrained sexual craving. There's a quote. What is it? Let me give you a moment to think about what the quote might be that I'm thinking of right now. Everything in moderation. We usually say that about like junk food or soda, or I guess that counts as a junk food. You get my point. Video games. Everything in moderation. That includes our needs or desires, not really needs, because that's a separate category. When it comes to our desires, unchecked, if you don't keep your sexual lust in check, well, just go down a rabbit hole of what sexual addiction is. I've been subjected to that myself. I have admittedly been a sex addict, and that is something I had to overcome. See, I can't get substance abuse. I haven't been able to become addicted to substances at all. It's other things, which is arguably slightly more dangerous, because as I've said before, I think in like some company before, when it's not like a physical, like I can like see how much I'm consuming, and it's like, oh yeah, I might be addicted to that. Love, sex, all of that stuff, like, yeah, video games, food. Food wasn't so bad because I could quantify that. Gaming, kind of the same thing, and in a way, I guess you could consider, like, love and stuff quantifiable, but, like, in a different kind of way. Because, like, in some substances, you can keep taking it and you won't know that you are cloudy. You won't know that you are addicted or in like pain until later on. I'm thinking out loud on this part. Sorry. I don't know why it says desktop. Oh yeah, actually I do, because technically the settings. Anyway, sorry, thinking out loud, got distracted. Yeah. It's like addiction is addiction. It all kind of affects the brain in the same way, regardless if it's a physical substance you ingest or do. I think do was the correct verb. Yes. Regardless of the subject you invest or subject you ingest, words are words, and I can't English. Give me a minute to read something else, because gluttony is to overindulge, especially by eating. Exercise regularly, avoid excess in eating and drinking. Under lust, it also says guard your heart, give yourself a project, exercise when you're bored. Guard your heart, exercise when you're bored, exercise regularly, give yourself a project. Like story time, actually. Story time. This is actually kind of a good note. Okay. Survival kind of became my superpower growing up. If you've been here for other episodes, you know the story. As I said earlier, I'm not going to get into it. But survival had to become my superpower growing up, or I was not going to make it out of any of the stuff that I went through. Thank God for writing a book, because it is really taking things to the surface and packing it in a new way, in an almost healed way, but not quite, because I'm definitely not there yet. Anyway, survival had to become my superpower. I saw sin, really bad sin, at a young age. I can't tell you the amount of times, and there actually came a point where I almost feel like it was on purpose. And I can't tell you the amount of times I caught my biological father watching porn when I was 2, 3, 4, 5, coupled with also what was going on at the time. And I saw sin. I saw him beat someone within an inch of her life. I saw drug addiction, really bad drug addiction. I saw anger. I saw wrath. I saw sin at such a young age. And wrath is another sin. Here, let's read that one. Wrath, uncontrolled feelings of hatred and anger. Be patient. Moderate your emotions. Take big, deep breaths before reacting. Anger. The amount of times I saw that man throw shit in fits of absolute rage. Like, it almost looked like, in some instances, and I even saw this with my mother figure, when they would get angry, it's almost like their whole physical form would morph. Like, devil horns would come out, and this dark, heavy aura would suddenly appear, and it was like, oh my God. Like, a monster has appeared. Oh no, where's the holy water? But, yeah, wrath is bad. I saw it all, most of those 3 sins, wrath, lust, uncontrolled, gluttony, I think, technically-ish, if you want to consider. And then there's also, uncontrolled, wrath, what was the other one? Technically envy was also one I saw growing up. Envy is jealousy towards another's happiness. Be thankful every day for what you have and don't have. Pride, inflated ego, inflated sense of one's own accomplishments. There are a lot of other ways that we can, word these 7 deadly sins. And actually, before we get into the personal story, because I added some and I might have opened the floodgate a little bit on the trauma dumping, my bad. I can't help it. It's in my DNA, I guess. I am working on it. I got through 11 minutes, I think. Here. I'm going to add this link in the description below. But this is my Reddit resource. And this is from r/deep thoughts no_man 2008, 4 months ago. The 7 deadly sins, all branches of one root, greed. I actually agree with this, and here's why. This is what No Man 2008 had to say. The classic 7 deadly sins, pride, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth, have always fascinated me. But recently I realized they might all be different expressions of one core human flaw, greed. Not just greed for money and stuff, but greed in the broader sense of wanting more than what we have or need. Sorry. Here's how it breaks down. Pride is the greed to be respected, admired, or feared, a hunger for status. Lust is the greed for pleasure and intimacy. Envy is the greed for what someone else possesses. Gluttony is the greed to consume beyond necessity. Wrath is the greed for power, revenge, or to dominate others. Sloth is the greed for comfort and ease, avoiding effort or responsibility. In this way, all sins can be seen as branches growing from the same root, our uncontrollable desires. But here's the paradox. Without desire, life loses meaning. Desire fuels our ambitions, creativity, and growth. It drives us to seek connection, progress, and purpose. The trick isn't to eliminate wanting altogether, but to channel and balance it wisely. This perspective isn't entirely new. Philosophers and religious traditions have hinted at desire as the root of suffering and sin, yet framing all the sins explicitly as forms of greed gives a simple, powerful lens to understand human flaws and motivations. It's a reminder our wants can either trap us or propel us. How we handle them shapes who we become. This person says, written with the help of ChatGPT because the author was too lazy to write it himself. I have had this conversation with friends before. I have had this conversation with myself before, especially while studying theology. If we are preordained to have pleasure and seek greed and connection and stuff like this, then why is it all so bad is what I asked myself. And here's what makes it bad. Here is what makes greed and sin horrible. Take away the religious aspects of it. Take away the Christianity out of it. Take away the Catholic out of it and just look at it at the human condition level if you really have to. It is overcompensation for more than you have and more than you need. We already have everything we need right here on this earth. We have the soil and the trees and the earth and the animals and the sun and the moon and the stars and each other. What the heck are we doing? Our sins, our natural human desires, our natural human needs that propel humanity forward are being used against us by the media. They're being used against us by the industries who are like, more, you need more. Take it. Take the more. You need more. Fuck them. You need more. You need more. No. Moderation is key. The new golden rule, besides treat others how you want to be treated, treat other people with kindness, love, and respect and empathy. And if you can't do that, compassion. If you can't do that, then get the heck out. Walk away. Go. Go find the people you can do that with. Because we have no room or need for destruction and disaster and trauma. I've talked about this in other episodes before, so if you really need to, start at the beginning of this podcast. It is quite the interesting trip. All of these subjects, all of these things, all of these sins, all of these ideas, all of these theologies and philosophies and beliefs I've covered as part of the human condition in other episodes, because this is all about the human condition and how we can make humanity better, how we can live a life that you and I actually love and we're not miserable in, because I'm sick and tired of being miserable. Aren't you? Aren't you also sick and tired of doom scrolling and gloom and sadness? Aren't you tired of seeing your friends and family sad too? Heartbroken, destroyed, devastated. I think we can fix that. I really fucking do. And that's my time, folks. I could cover so many more hours of this episode. I could talk about all the different 7 deadly sins. I could actually go into more personal depth with stories. I don't want to right now. I want to go read and take notes and work on some blogs. I gave myself 20 minutes to record this podcast earlier. I'm now 47 minutes or seconds over it. If this wasn't enough, check out any of the other episodes. Check out the episodes with the guests. Those humans are incredible people. Some of them are doing some awesome things, and I'm going to be having them back on very soon. Shout out to the people that have made this show possible. Shout out to the people who have done things to make it so I feel like I can do things too. Shout out to you being human, because this is what it's all about. Keep going, humans of Earth. I'll see you next time for episode 74 of the Digital Quill Podcast. Bye for now.